Imagine walking down the street remembering a funny joke and simply smiling. In any normal country, you just look happy, but in North Korea, that smile is an act of high treason, and it won't just get you arrested. It will condemn your parents, your siblings, and even your unborn children to a lifetime in a brutal concentration camp. Today, we are exposing the absolute most bizarre and terrifying things that are strictly illegal in North Korea, and you need to stick around for the final law on this list. It is a government mandate so biologically impossible, it is literally forcing citizens into violent, bloody street fights over human waste. The ban on emotion. Let's start with your face. In North Korea, human emotion is a highly regulated state commodity. The government exercises a strict monopoly over joy and sorrow. Whenever there is an official mourning period for a deceased leader, the state enforces a total emotional lockdown. For the 10th anniversary of former leader Kim Jong-il's death, the government mandated 11 agonizing days of performative despair. During this window, smiling, laughing, or showing any sign of happiness is treated as a severe crime. You cannot drink alcohol, exercise, or even go grocery shopping on the exact anniversary. If your birthday falls during this window, you're forbidden from celebrating. You have to pretend you were not born. But here is the most twisted part. If your own mother or father dies during this national mourning period, you are legally forbidden from crying out loud. You cannot even remove their body from your house until the official 11 days are over. The state's grief is the only grief allowed. Citizens literally have to manufacture fake tears just to survive. If your sorrow doesn't look completely genuine to the secret police, you are thrown into a labor camp for 6 months. The sacred portraits. But wait, what if you just stay inside your house? You are safe there, right? Wrong. By law, every single house, factory, and school must prominently display framed portraits of the Kim leaders. They must be hung on the highest wall, angled slightly downward, so they are always watching you. The government gives families a special white cloth that can legally only be used to dust these pictures. You have to keep that glass spotless, because neighborhood watch groups conduct random raids on homes. They walk in wearing white gloves and swipe the frames. A single speck of dust means public humiliation and fines. A thick layer of dust means banishment to the mines. The terrifying weight of this law is exposed during emergencies. When a house caught on fire in Onsong County, a mother rushed into the flames and successfully saved her 2 young children. But in the chaos, she failed to grab the portraits of the leaders. She wasn't called a hero. She was immediately arrested and interrogated. While her severely burned children sat in a hospital, her neighbors were too terrified to help, afraid they would be arrested as accomplices. To the state, the destruction of a photograph is a greater tragedy than the death of a child. You can't even fold a newspaper freely. The official state newspaper always features pictures of the leaders. If you accidentally fold the paper so that a crease crosses the face of the supreme leader, you are arrested for desecration. People have been sent to forced labor camps simply for using an old newspaper to sit on a wet park bench. The ban on sarcasm. The government even controls how you speak. They have explicitly banned sarcasm and irony. When the economy was failing, normal people started rolling their eyes and sarcastically saying, "This is all America's fault," to mock the government's propaganda. The secret police immediately cracked down. They made sarcasm a major crime. Even an indirect joke or a deadpan tone of voice will get you arrested. The fashion police, so you can't smile and you can't fold paper. Surely you can pick your own clothes. Absolutely not. In late 2021, Kim Jong-un wore a distinctive leather trench coat on television. People thought it looked cool and cheap knockoffs flooded the local markets. But Kim Jong-un was furious that normal people were copying him. He unleashed literal fashion police to roam the streets, forcibly ripping the jackets off the backs of young men. They made it a crime to simply copy his fashion trend. The state has also waged a bizarre war on personal grooming. Men are strictly prohibited from growing their hair longer than 2 inches. The state actually broadcast a propaganda TV show claiming that long hair drains energy from your brain. There are only about 15 to 28 officially approved socialist hairstyles. If you get caught with an unapproved haircut, like the banned rooster style where your bangs cover one eye, you face 6 months in a labor camp. But here is the ultimate hypocrisy. The ruling elite openly flaunts these exact rules. High-ranking party officials wear the banned rooster haircut, and Kim's own daughter wears forbidden see-through clothing on state TV. Individuality is a privilege reserved exclusively for the elite. For the masses, uniformity is mandatory. The K-drama death sentences. Speaking of TV, watching foreign media is practically a death sentence. The regime views pop music and foreign dramas as weapons of mass psychological warfare. They have a heavily armed midnight strike force dedicated purely to catching people watching illegal videos. After the massive global success of the Netflix show Squid Game, 7 high school students were caught secretly watching it on a smuggled USB drive. The legal retaliation was horrific. The smuggler who brought the drive from China was dragged in front of a firing squad and publicly executed. The student who bought the drive was sentenced to life in a political prison camp. The kids who merely watched the show got 5 years of grueling hard labor. Even the school principal and the homeroom teachers were fired and banished to remote coal mines. Amnesty International reports that the government forces tens of thousands of citizens, including young teenagers, into massive public stadiums to watch these firing squad executions. But there was one chilling exception in that Squid Game bust. One of the 7 students avoided punishment entirely. Why? Because his wealthy parents bribed the authorities with $3,000. In North Korea, the rich can occasionally buy their lives, while the poor face the firing squad. The 3 generations rule. If you think watching a TV show carries an insane punishment, wait until you hear how they punish your family. The most terrifying law in North Korea is a dark psychological tactic called the 3 generations rule. If you commit an ideological crime, like making a phone call to the outside world or criticizing the regime, the secret police do not just arrest you. They arrest your aging grandparents, your siblings, and your young children. They wipe out 3 entire generations of your bloodline. Whole families vanish into hyper-secretive political prison camps where human beings are systematically worked to death. People are actually born inside these camps, inheriting the political crimes of grandparents they never even met. The state uses this to completely destroy human bonds. One boy, born inside a political camp, was conditioned so heavily by the guards that when he was 13 years old, he overheard his own mother and brother plotting to escape. He betrayed them to the guards. As a reward, he was forced to stand in a crowd and watch the public execution of his own family. The state effectively uses your deepest biological instinct, the urge to protect your family, as a weapon to force absolute obedience. The annual Compost Battle now for the most unbelievable dystopian law of all, the annual Compost Battle. Because North Korea is so globally isolated and mismanaged, they have a severe lack of chemical fertilizers for their farms. So to prepare for the spring planting season, the regime issues an annual mandate. Every single able-bodied citizen is forced to harvest and surrender a specific quota of human feces. The quotas demanded by the state are biologically impossible. Adult workers are ordered to produce over 1,100 pounds of human waste by late January. Middle school students have to generate 440 pounds. And unemployed housewives, they are ordered to produce an unbelievable 2,200 pounds of human excrement. An average healthy human only produces about 300 pounds in an entire year. This insane law triggers a horrific societal breakdown. A literal black market exists where merchants make a fortune selling human waste to desperate citizens who need to meet their quotas to avoid punishment. Those who are too poor to buy feces resort to theft. They raid public latrines and steal from their neighbors. Entire communities are forced to padlock their toilets at night to stop the poop thieves. The resulting desperation sparks literal, violent turf wars. In South Pyongan province, a factory worker caught stealing waste from a neighbor's latrine was attacked by the homeowner. The fight escalated into a brutal, bloody street brawl involving axes and shovels, leaving both men severely hospitalized. The state cannot even provide its people with food, but it forces them to fight to the death over their own waste. Outro: North Korea's legal framework is not designed to maintain order. It is meticulously engineered to completely dismantle the human mind. The regime knows a profound psychological reality. If a population is entirely consumed by the immediate terror of protecting a framed photograph, or securing a bag of feces to avoid a labor camp, or suppressing a smile on a Tuesday, they have absolutely zero mental energy left to organize a political revolution. We find the weirdest, coolest things happening around the world, so if you want to uncover more of these stories, hit subscribe.